Firstly, look, before we talk about Marc Guehi, because we got kind of cut short, didn't we, in the last hour? Giovanni Leoni, you've got to feel for the guy. His debut against Southampton in the League Cup, you know, a huge opportunity.
Well as well.
Look, 18 years old, he's got time on his side, but you've been there and you've had nasty injuries. I
haven't had that nasty injury. Sorry, Will.
Did you?
No, I was lucky. I was one of the lucky ones, but I didn't.
Never did an ACL.
No, didn't tackle.
Medial?
No.
Didn't tackle. That's why, isn't it?
No, exactly. No, but I mean, I've seen obviously lots of players that have had ACLs, and it's really tough, especially at this point, because your whole season's over. You've had a great pre-season. You're working hard. You know, it's the beginning of the season. He's just stepped into the team. Yeah. He would have played more games this year because it's Virgil van Dijk and Konate pretty much. Then there's him. It's really, really tough for him as well, moving to a new country. You're not able now to do something that you want to do, your love, which is play games. And now he's just got to prepare for next season. If he comes back, if he gets back, it's going to be April, May. Do you really want to rush back? I think it's probably best just to, you know, get yourself ready for next season now, but it's tough.
You know where I'm going to go with this, Jay, right? And his name is Marc Guehi. And the I told you so police will be all over Liverpool now, won't they? Because they should have signed Marc Guehi. And I'm not talking about on deadline day for £35 million when suddenly Palace are left without someone and they're trying to get Igor Julio, then he goes to West Ham and it was a bit of a circus, wasn't it, on the last day? Get him at the beginning of the window. If they'd paid the 35/40 million at the beginning of the window, they would have had Marc Guehi. Because my point being here,
I think
is
it was more Isak. It was more that getting. I don't think it got to a point, didn't it? They wanted Isak, and it got to the point where maybe they thought we're not going to get him now. And then obviously he went on strike and he ended up forcing a move and he got the move. But then I think it got to a point where it was like, can't really afford Guehi now. I think that's more.
But my point being that they are now one Virgil van Dijk injury away from falling apart at the back. If they lose him, they are down to the bare bones because Konate's hardly reliable this season.
I mean, no, you know what? I think Konate gets a lot of stick, unnecessary
quite
stick.
Right, for some of the performances this season.
No, he's played. Last year he played well. He's a solid defender, solid Premier League defender. But one thing I would say is, when it comes to Guehi now, Liverpool are not holding the cards at all, and neither's Palace, because we've seen Guehi's got, you know, in January he's got 6 months left. After that, he can sign for anyone on a free transfer. And now we've seen what's happened with the likes of Real Madrid. Real Madrid are looking for defenders as well. I think it's more Guehi's decision. Do I want to go to Liverpool? Or am I going to wait till the end of the season, stay with Palace, see what I can do, stay with the manager?
You're Guehi right now, what do you do?
I'm seeing out my contract.
You're seeing out your contract? So you're not even pre-agreeing a European club in January?
No.
You're waiting?
I might, but I want to... if you're seeing out your contract, it's because you want to go to somewhere like Barcelona or Real Madrid. If you're not, then obviously you move to Liverpool and you let Crystal Palace get money for you. But ultimately now I would say, you know, I want to stay with Glasgow, I want to stay with Palace, I want to have another good season, and then we'll see what happens at the end of the season. But I think for Guehi, he's a top defender. He will be looking now. He could go to any club in the world.
Right, Sky Sports have partnered with Finalysis, an app where passionate fans share their opinions on their club. And if you want to represent your club, scan the QR code right there or visit the Sky Sports app for much more detail on that. And we can speak live to a Liverpool fan now, Peter Bolster. Peter, a very good morning to you. Look, coming up against Marc Guehi, is that a player that you should have signed? And look, shoulda, woulda, coulda, you can't do anything about that, but need to sign now in January, desperately.
Very much so. I think Liverpool have to go and bite the bullet, really, and just pay maybe that little bit of extra tax that they were hoping to avoid, and make sure that they do the business and sign them in January, because you need to attack all competitions. And right now, we're really short. You've got 3 centre-halves and 2 of them are injury-prone. I think you were talking about Konate then. Konate is unreliable because he picks up injuries.
And he's out of contract, isn't he?
He's out of contract, but he's in contract for the rest of the season. So for this season, in the short term, it doesn't really matter. But it matters in the sense that if he gets injured, the next minute you've got Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk. And Gomez himself has got his injury problems. So it's not really a great security plan, is it?
Peter, do you have any good young players come through the youth system? Because I feel like Liverpool historically have always had good youth players coming through. Is there any players in that youth system where you could say, let's give them the opportunity to come and play now?
Not at that centre-half, no. You've got Reece Williams, who was called back from loan, and he was on the bench the other night, but he's not someone that you're going to go and win the Premier League with. And the way I see it is that Liverpool are in a command position to win the Premier League. So if they keep all 3 centre-halves fit, we'll win the Premier League. That's my opinion. However, if you want to win the Champions League, you have to go and sign another top centre-half.
Yeah.
Financially, like you said there, like if I'm Crystal Palace now, I'm saying, well, if you want to sign him, you've got to pay more now. Because everyone knows that...
How much do you both think he's worth? Let's take away the contract situation. Say Marc Guehi had 6 years to run on his...
£80 million defender at bare
80 million quid.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Newcastle, Peter tried to sign him, didn't they? 18 months or so ago. And they were having bids rejected of 60, and they went up to 65 or something like that, from memory serves me right. This is a guy that Peter, and I'm going back to the shoulda, woulda, coulda police, right? Because you could have got this done. You could have got this wrapped up in August and just paid, even if you paid over the odds, you paid 45 for him, you still got an absolute bargain. And now you're in the casino. You're playing roulette because you might not get him.
Yeah, it's gone under the radar, hasn't it? In the sense that, like, because Liverpool signed so many good players, they're not really taking a lot of criticism in the sense that they should have signed Marc Guehi. But Crystal Palace have agency in this, and this deal was supposed to be done at the beginning of the summer, and they didn't sign anyone themselves. They didn't get that replacement in, and that's why they blocked the move. So I feel like a lot of blame is going on Liverpool, and maybe rightly so to a certain extent. But if Crystal Palace don't want to sell, they don't want to sell.
Yeah, but hold on, Peter, just rewinding to that point, and that was my point. I'm not talking about getting it done on deadline day, where they've got to scrap around and try and sign someone like Igor Julio. I'm talking about 3-4 weeks before that, when it gives Palace time to go and get an Akanji or someone else.
Hold on, Will. But on that, one thing I would say is that, obviously, Liverpool had 4 defenders. They've got, obviously, Konate, they've got Virgil van Dijk, they've got Leone, he's got injured now, but they got Gomez, right? So you would think, at the beginning of the season, 4 defenders, that should see me through. The positions that they did recruit in, Kirkes left-back, Frimpong right-back, Ekitike, but the main target they always wanted was Isak. Isak then came available, and I feel like that's the reason why Liverpool didn't go and get Guehi, because they was like, we need to go and get the best number 9 in the world now.
Yeah, quite possibly, and it's hard to criticise that, but if you know the club like I know them, Joe Gomez is great, I love him, but you can't rely on him. He's been injured season after season, and his body just breaks down. He's a top defender, but his body breaks down. I've just mentioned Konate breaks down. So this happened in the 2021 season, and Virgil van Dijk got that horrific injury, and the season was over because we were relying on Matip at the time, who was also injury prone. We've got quite a few injury prone centre halves, and the more games they play, the more likely it is that they're injured. So you need centre halves. I get your point about 4 centre halves.
That's a great point as well, because I mean, we remember it, don't we? The Jordan Pickford tackle on Van Dijk. But that was my point at the top, talking to Jay. And God forbid for you Liverpool fans that this happens. But when you're a player and you're in your 30s like Van Dijk is, it is possible that you end up with 4, 5, 6 months out. If that happens between now and January, you're in real trouble.
Absolutely, there's no doubt about that. But I think if Virgil van Dijk got injured anyway, let's just put it on the record that you'd be struggling anyway, because he's such a phenomenal footballer.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. And the more he plays and the more you need these centre-halves, it's the more likely they're going to get injured. So we are fit.
Guys, one thing I was like, all the teams are in that position, really. When you look at it, the only difference, like you said there, Peter, is that Joe Gomez and Konate, yes, historically they have picked up and been injured more than others, but pretty much most of the teams have 4 defenders to begin with. And it's not often that you see all 4 defenders out. Now, the one that you did mention is Virgil van Dijk, and obviously his leadership and, you know, him being one of the best centre-backs in the world, obviously if you lose him, then it is a problem. But I don't feel like Liverpool still should be winning the title. Yeah, with all of the other players that you've got, I mean, even put Szoboszlai in there, he can play right back, he can play anyways. He's been fantastic. But I mean, you can do makeshift options to compete in all the competitions. When it comes to the Champions League, yeah, I agree with you. You need your best players to be fit in order to go and win that. But domestic competitions, you don't.
Let's move on and talk about, because there's so much to talk to Peter about, and plenty of you have been getting in touch. Let's hear firstly from Liverpool fan Dave. Peter, you stay there.
Not securing Marc Guehi and not even having a backup option for him might cost Liverpool further down the line. Not sure. What do you guys?
Well, we kind of put that one to bed. What would be costing them?
Look at Arsenal, right? Arsenal got one of the best back lines in the world, but still, they've got Gabriel, they've got obviously Saliba. But when they get injured, they've got makeshift options that can step in there from right back and do a job for a certain amount of games. Huh?
Yeah, Ryan Gravenberch's a brilliant makeshift option. He's fantastic.
It's actually Gravenberch.
Yeah, you've got Endo who can play centre half, but the problem is if you take a midfielder out, then you short a midfield, and it's how much you keep then weakening the squad and weakening the midfield.
I don't think it's realistic to keep saying to Liverpool now, after all the money that Liverpool have spent, to say, yeah, just go and spend another 60 million.
Peter, just in 20 seconds, just give me your view on Ekitike before we move on. We talked about it earlier. I thought it was really harsh the way that Slot's dealt with it. What do you Liverpool fans think?
Oh, I'm glad he dealt with it that way, and but at the same time, he's just a young lad who's made the mistake. I don't think people should be. It shouldn't be a witch hunt. Absolutely not.
No, and he's a quality player and he's going to bang in plenty of goals for Liverpool for years to come. Peter, top man, got to move on. So much to talk about. Remember, send in your questions for Jay. We will do them just before midday on the way.
He will be out for around a year. So being so young, coming to a new country, playing so well in your first game, it's very hard to take the positive side. No, there's never a positive side, but yeah, you always try to look at a positive side, and that is that he's still so young, so that he has so many years still to go after he recovers from a terrible injury like that.
Now, Liverpool are hoping to make it 6 wins out of 6 when they make the trip to Selhurst Park on Saturday. Our reporter Vinny O'Connor is watching their training session for us this afternoon. Vinny, good to see you. Look, not too many concerns for Arne Slot to worry about, but Giovanni Leoni, what's the update there?
Yeah, obviously he's not at training at the moment, but I'll step out the way so you can see exactly what's going on. But it looks like really desperate news for young Giovanni Leoni after his debut for Liverpool against Southampton in the AFL Cup the other night. Played 81 minutes, and for a lot of that it looked like the perfect debut, but in the end going off with what looks to be an ACL injury. The £26 million who joined from Parma. And of course, he's thanked the fans and thanked all the support that he's had since suffering that injury as well. We're still to get full confirmation from that. Of course, as to the full extent of that injury, we'll get that tomorrow, actually, when we speak to Arne Slot in his pre-match news conference ahead of that game against Crystal Palace. But at the end of the day as well, Liverpool do have plenty of options at centre-half. I know it's not an ideal situation for them because they have 3 first-choice centre-halves, if you like, in Van Dijk, Konate and Joe Gomez, now having lost Leone. But they do have other players who can play at centre-half as well. Both Endo and Ryan Gravenberch can play there, of course. Andy Robertson has filled in at centre-half as well. They did miss out on Marc Guehi on the final day of the transfer window, as we know. And I know the attitude around Liverpool is it would be foolish to walk away from a player that they came so close to signing as well. So we await how developments go on that in terms of what happens in January or possibly at the end of the season. We should also remember, of course, that Liverpool still have Reece Williams about the place. The last time he made a start for Liverpool was actually against Crystal Palace back in May 2021, as Liverpool were able to secure Champions League qualification, finishing third. They beat Crystal Palace 2-0 that day. Reece Williams partnering Nat Phillips at centre-half, but Reece Williams not actually training with the first-team squad at the moment here at Liverpool. But as I say, they do have options. It's just a really disappointing situation, the fact that it looks like Leone is going to miss a large part of the season now with that injury he picked up against Southampton the other night.
Well, someone else who's going to be missing, Liverpool going to be without Hugo Ekitike this weekend as he's suspended. This has been a massive talking point, hasn't it, Vinny? So can we expect Alexander Isak then to start at Crystal Palace?
I think there's a good chance of it, and we're just looking at Liverpool's forward options actually, because I'll keep going back to Federico Chiesa and the impact that he's had this season. I'm wondering whether he could actually come into the Champions League squad with that injury to Leone, because he keeps contributing this season. The third goal against Bournemouth, of course, after Liverpool had been pegged back to 2-2 in that first game of the season. Left out of the Champions League squad, left out of the Merseyside Derby squad, but then responds with both assists against Southampton. So doing everything to play himself into a role. There is an argument to say that he is playing himself into a role as well. But as you mentioned, obviously, first choice up front, Alexander Isak. They're still building up his fitness, but he is obviously out there training at the moment. He scored his first goal for the club since his £125 million deadline day move. Laid on by Federico Chiesa, who also laid on the goal for Hugo Ekitike as well. Ekitike replacing Alexander Isak at half-time in that game against Southampton, eventually scoring the winner as well, but suspended, as you say, Bella, for the weekend because of that second yellow card that he picked up for removing his shirt in celebrating that goal as well. Ideally, you wouldn't want to be without a forward option either when, as we say, Isak's building up his fitness, and they're going to Palace, who are unbeaten in 17 going back to April, of course, as well. And Ekitike has hit 5 goals and provided 1 assist in 8 games so far for Liverpool. But Isak played just under an hour against Atletico Madrid. Slot said that Isak felt his body a little bit more than ever after that Atletico game, so didn't start the Merseyside derby, coming on midway through the second half, and then played just 45 minutes in the EFL Cup this week before a warm-down out on the pitch, actually, at Anfield. But I think the likelihood is that he will start at Palace now. Remember, Liverpool scored 11 goals from 5 so far this season. Still got the likes of Mo Salah providing a goal or assist in all but one of Liverpool's 5 league games so far this season. 2 goals he scored in the Premier League as well. The late goal against Bournemouth to give that 2-goal cushion, that crucial late penalty against Burnley, as well as Liverpool's second against Atletico Madrid, of course, as well. And we saw him set up Gravenberch's derby at the weekend as well. What I think Arne Slot would like to see is a little bit more from Florian Wirtz, because of course no goal contribution since the Community Shield. But what I'm kind of emphasising here is the number of options that Liverpool had, the quality within their squad, and of course this weekend they go again against Crystal Palace.
Thanks, Vinny.